Ordinary meeting of council, gee, that's loud. Ordinary meeting of council, Wednesday, 6th August 2025. If I could please ask Councillor Berry to open us up with a prayer, please.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Almighty God, be with us as we work for the people of the Shire of Moorabool. Grant us wisdom that we may care for the Shire as true stewards of your creation. May we be aware of the great responsibilities placed upon us. Help us to be just in all our dealings, and may our work prosper for the good of all. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Councillor Berry. Now, if I could have Councillor Keogh, please, could you do the acknowledgement of country?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which we are meeting. I pay my respects to their elders, past and present, and the Aboriginal elders of other communities who may be here today.
Thank you, Councillor Keogh. For those in attendance, the ordinary meeting is being recorded for the benefit of the Moorabool News and Star Weekly, which is in accordance with Moorabool Shire Council's meeting procedure, local law. The council will be recording this meeting. The following organisations, as I've said before, are the Moorabool News and the Star Weekly. Everyone present, as I can see, thank you. So there's no apologies. Could I have someone confirm the minutes from the last meeting? Thank you, Councillor Bingham. Second. Thank you, Councillor Berry. Those in favour? So carried. Right. At this point, I'll ask if there's any disclosures, conflicts of interest in tonight. Anything on the agenda?
Thank you. Yes, Mr Mayor, I have a perceived conflict of interest on 12.5.
Thank you, Councillor Freeman. Can you let me know when that comes up? And we'll push you out the door, shut the door.
Thank you, and lock the door.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Well done. Right. So we'll move straight into public question time. Tonight we have one speaker. If I could ask Ms Catherine Pope, please, to come to the table, and if you push the green button when you're ready to speak.
Mr Mayor,
yes.
If this is what I perceive it is, I have a conflict of interest in this matter.
Oh, right, yes.
Which I wasn't aware of that before at
Yes.
the formal time of recognition, but I just want to make it now, please.
If you would please, Councillor Sullivan. Thank you. I'll just wait for Councillor Sullivan to leave and then we'll begin. Ms Pope.
I have an urgent request to remove an illegal gate on the carriageway easement. Good evening, I am Catherine Pope and I live at 283 Camerons Road, Comodo. I come to Council tonight with an urgent and serious safety concern. I hold grave concerns and fears for safety of my daughter, my son, my husband, myself, and along with visitors and deliveries to our property. We live on a landlocked property and our only legal access is via a carriageway easement across the neighbouring land at 287 Camerons Road. We had 25 years of clear access until the 18th of April 23, when the landowner began chaining a gate shut across the easement. We are now forced to stop on a very steep incline, get out of our vehicles and untangle a chain multiple times a day just to come and go from our home. During this time, we have been subjected to verbal abuse, physical assault and criminal damage. Guests, workmen and delivery drivers have also been targeted. Our neighbour's property at 285 is now up for sale. This gate serves no lawful or practical purpose. All properties along the easement are fenced and have private gates to manage their own security. We are now being demanded to shut this external gate while the landowner's own gates remain open at all times. It has become a tool for intimidation and aggression. This gate was installed by my husband in 2013 as a visual marker only, never to be closed. At that time, both the council, the CFA and emergency services stated clearly that it must remain open at all times. More recently, senior planning officers from Moorabool Shire inspected the site, categorically stated that the gate should not exist and must never be closed to traffic. We are caught between police advice to remove the gate and the threat of charges if we do so. We are left completely vulnerable and we are scared. I am especially fearful, as I said, for my daughter and my son's safety. My question to council is this. Given the council, the CFA and emergency services have historically confirmed that the gate must remain open, and given the ongoing risk to personal safety, will council now take immediate action to have the gate removed in the interest of public safety and lawful access? This is not a private disagreement, it's a daily public safety risk that continues to escalate. We are simply asking to access our home without fear and without risk. So thank you, and I ask if you would act.
Questions, councillors? Councillor Bingham.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I've got a question of the Speaker. Oh, that is loud, isn't it? So you've just said that you've installed the gate yourself as a visual marker only. The advice that we're all under the impression that it was part of a 173 agreement. So can you elaborate on that? Was that gate part of the original 173 agreement, or did you just install it yourself?
Wasn't part of. There was no gate ever on the carriageway easement. We installed it retrospectively, foolishly, we can see now. There was a problem with Google Earth telling people that the carriageway was access to the Mackenzie's flat picnic ground. So we had a lot of Melbourne people unfamiliar with the area accessing the carriageway and coming into our properties. So discussion with the neighbours at the time was, well, if we put a gate there, it would look like it's not a public road, rather than, is that the answer? Yeah.
Councillor Bingham.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr Mayor. So I'd like to ask that question of the planning officers. If it isn't, well, my first question is it part of the 173 agreement? And if it's not, then why is there a requirement to have this gate? Because as this has been a discussion that's been ongoing for the last few months.
Mr Bazid now, please. No, this one's working really well. If you yell out, you'll get it.
Thank you. Mr Mayor, I don't have the 173 agreement in front of me or the decision, so my preference is to read it in its context and then provide feedback.
Thank you. Any other questions, councillors? Yes, Councillor Minari.
Thank you. I just want to confirm, I just didn't pick up on the year that the gate was installed. Was it 20?
We moved there in 98.
Right. Oh, sorry.
Will it work? We moved there in 98. The previous owners had said there'd never been a gate, but we hung a gate. We never closed it, but we hung a gate from our property, just a spare one, 2013.
13?
Yes.
I thought it was either 2003 or 13. I didn't pick up on it. Thank you very much for that.
Councillors, any other questions? Councillor Berry.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. I've got a question of officers. Where the said gate is, who owns the land?
Mr Bazid now, please.
This one's working. So my understanding is the gate is on a carriage easement, on a carriageway, and therefore that is private land. That if it's on council land, that's a different conversation.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Minari.
Sorry, just following on from Councillor Berry's question, that didn't confirm who owned the land.
That's correct. I think it's unfettered. It's unfettered access on a carriageway.
Yeah.
So it supplies a lot of blocks, so yes.
The carriage easeway is privately owned. It's assigned to one specific property, and then all the other properties have got entitlement and use to that easement.
Question to the Speaker, if I
Yes.
could. Do you own the land? No, you don't own the land? Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions, councillors? I've just got a quick one. Does stock have access to that carriageway?
It's fenced off. It's all completely fenced off. stop. So there's no stop on that carriageway. There never has been. All properties that boundary onto that are fully fenced and gated.
Right. And you put the gate up?
We put the gate up when we had carloads of tourists coming up to the house and saying we're having a picnic here, and we're like, this is private property. So
And that no longer happens? That,
no, because we close.
I'll just turn your mic on, please, sorry.
Sorry, did you hear the other?
I think we're going to have to do it again, are we? Yes, we are. I can't remember my first question. You'll have to remind me.
All boundary properties to the carriageway are all fenced and
Yes.
gated. Ours included, neighbours included, all properties are gated, are fenced, fully fenced and gated. We all close our gates to prevent people coming in, but the other properties, the owner doesn't close gates.
So the original reason the gate was put in is no longer there, is that the people, the mapping that people were going down that driveway is no longer an issue? The reason you put the gate?
No, Google Earth has fixed it, I believe.
Just checking, right. Councillors, any other questions? Yes, Councillor Minari.
Just one for officers, and I don't know if it's for officers because it'd probably be more for a police question, but my question would be, or comment would be, if the Speaker purchased the gate and placed it there, wouldn't be seem reasonable that she couldn't just take back her possession?
I love the simplicity, Councillor Minari.
Anyway, just a comment.
Hey, thank you.
Not
Right, thank you. Oh, sorry, Councillor
Yeah,
Freeman.
sorry, that's
Sorry.
all right, Mr Mayor, I
Yes.
just put it on then. Just one question, it probably goes
Two officers or two?
to officers. Seeing it's on private land, I'm ignorant on these matters, but does council have a right to ask for it to go down or whatever?
The officer's response has always been, because it's a private land, it's a private matter, it's a civil matter, and council don't have jurisdiction to make any determination in relation to that.
Thank you.
So that begs another question then. What if the gate opens outwards? Mr Bazoot there.
Can you just repeat a question, Mr. Mayor?
Well, if it opens inwards, it's on private land. If it opens outwards, it's on our land. So, no? Or does it depend how it's hung? Right. It's all about the gate. So,
Look, I don't have a definite answer for that. I'll take it on notice. It's a comment.
no worries, thank you. All right, thank you. Right, we better move along. Right, we'll move on to, yes, we better move on to getting Councillor Sullivan back in before he freezes to death or gets hypothermia or something. So, okay, now we don't have any petitions, so we'll move on to reports. 11.1, Audit and Risk Advisory Committee Charter Update. Councillors, there's a recommendation. Thank you, Councillor Minari moved. Councillor Berry seconded. Those in favour? So carried. Right, we'll move on to 11.2, 21 to 25 Mirrabul Shire Council Plan Progress Report, Quarter 4, April to June 25. Councillors, please. Thank you, Councillor Berry. Seconded, Councillor Ward. Any objections? Those?
I was just going to say I'm happy to move it, but I do have one.
Yeah, you can ask a
Is
question.
that right?
Yes.
Thank you. This is probably to the CEO. What role does AI, if any, play in driving further performance gains within the council plan?
Mr. CEO.
Non-directly, but probably significantly indirectly. would be the answer. So we would be looking for efficiencies within the organisation to keep the cost base as low as possible, and it would be correct to say that AI will form part of that solution.
Thank you. So I move Councillor Berry, seconded Councillor Ward. Any objections? Those in favour? So carried. Right, we'll move on to item 11.3, 2017-2021 Mirrabul Shire Council Plan, Outstanding Progress Report, June to 25. Councillors. Thank you. Councillor Ward moved. Do I have a seconder, please? Thank you, Councillor Sullivan. Is there any objections? Any questions? Those in favour? So carried. Okay, councillors, we move on to 11.4, which is the work cover premium for 25-26. Councillors, in your hands.
Question?
Councillor Ward with a question, moved.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. The question's for the CEO. So noting that there's going to be a 15% increase in the work cover premium, I seem to recall there was a significant increase in this premium about 2 years ago, Mr CEO. Can you explain, was that, or can you advise, was that about 30% from memory?
Sorry, just being careful with the microphone. We had a decrease last year, but 2 years ago it was probably, if I remember correctly, it was around 25% of an increase. Then we had a 15% decrease, and now it's gone back up. But we have benchmarked it against other councils, and we're actually still sitting where we were. It's just it's gone up everywhere.
Subsequent?
Yes.
Mr CEO, sorry to put you on the spot, but I know the Essential Services Commission looks at inflation rates when setting rate capping. Does consideration be given? Are you aware that if they consider the significant increases in our work cover premium? Because I've noticed that over the last 5 years, rate capping's been about 9.5% as opposed to about 14.5% to inflation. And it seems like council is incurring additional costs, but not having the ability to match that in revenue increases.
Mr CEO.
The index that's used by the Essential Services Commission, whereas New South Wales use a different basket of goods, which is more aligned with what drives local government's cost base. Within the Essential Services in Victoria, insurances is a factor, but it's general insurances that are a factor, not necessarily just work cover.
Second with a question, is it? Or?
Yeah, that'll do. Just a question as well. Have we had any claims in the last period? Any work cover claims? The only reason I'm asking, no, some years ago we had an accident, which is no fault of our staff, where as a result of that, our increase, they increased considerably. So this has nothing to do with that.
No, it's not, but I'm happy to take on notice if we've had any claims as such.
Okay.
I just don't know that off the top of my head.
Right, thank you.
We moved and seconded by Councillor Sullivan, seconded. Are there any objections, any other questions? Those in favour? So carried. Okay, we'll move on to community strengthening reports. We'll move on to 12.1, which is a draft municipal plan, health plan and wellbeing plan for 25 to 29. Community consultation. Questions, councillors? No? Do we have any? Thank you, Councillor Bingham. You're moving it. Do we have a seconder, please? Thank you, Councillor Keogh. We've gone this way, but anyhow. Do we have any dissent? Objections? No? Those in favour? So carried. It's all working very well. Right, we'll move on to 12.2. Female-friendly sport and recreation participation and infrastructure strategy 22 to 32 year 3 update.
Question?
Councillor Ward.
Yeah, question. Thank you.
And moving it as well? Or?
Yes, happy to move it.
Thank you.
It's a question for Lee, if I may. Thank you for this update, and fully supportive of this policy, the sort of strategy that was been in place now for several years, and it's in line with the state government's fair access policy and gender equity. I did notice on page 101 of the attachment that that we're utilising facility audit information along with participation information to identify a list of projects and priorities based on need and demand. Priority projects should focus on improving public toilet accessible gaps at all gender change and playgrounds. And that report is ongoing. I think we discussed recently that there is some key gaps. I'm just wondering when we can expect that report, because I am still aware that there are facilities where there are no female change facilities. So I'm happy for you to take that on notice if it's not available.
Lee, please.
Thank you, Councillor Wood. I will take that one on notice if you don't mind and come back to you.
Thank you, Councillor Wood. Any other questions, councillors? Well, we have a mover. I'm looking for a seconder. Thank you, Councillor Cow. Do we have any objections? Dissent? No? Those in favour? Thank you. So carried. Right, we'll move on to 12.3, which is amendment to the terms of reference for the Health and Wellbeing Advisory Committee. Any questions, councillors? No? Do I have someone that's interested in moving it? Thank you, Councillor. To talk you to it. Councillor Freeman, secondly, Councillor Berry. Those in favour? So carried. Right, we'll work on the 12.4. Disability Access and Inclusion Advisory Committee nominations. Councillors, any questions? I'll have someone to move it, please. Thank you, Councillor Minari. Do I have a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Freeman. Any dissent? Those in favour? So carried. Right, we'll move on to, yes.
I have a conflict of interest with the next one, Mr Mayor.
Thank you.
I
Councillor
will-
Freeman. Right, I'll wait till you leave the room and then we'll... Right, councillors, we're moving on to 12.5, which is a Positive Ageing Advisory Committee nominations. One thing I'm sure about, I'm positively ageing. Councillors, any questions? Councillor, you want to move it, Councillor Bingham? Could I have a second? Thank you, Councillor Minari. Any questions? No? Any dissent? Those in favour? So carried. Can someone please get Councillor Freeman? Okay, we're moving on to 12.6, which is the Manly Park Advisory Committee nominations. Any questions, councillors? Does someone move it? Thank you, Councillor Ward. Second it. Thanks, Councillor Vendetti Taylor. Any dissent? Those in favour? So carried. Right, we're going to move on to customer and corporate service reports. 13.1 is a draft customer experience strategy, 25 to 27. This is an adoption. Any questions? Councillor Ward?
I'm happy to move it with a comment, Mr Mayor. I just want to recognise the outstanding results there. Obviously, we've got a rapidly increasing population and we're having increasing contacts with our customer services staff, and ratepayers and residents are under pressure, they're time poor and stressed. And the fact that we've had over 241,000 customer engagements over the past 3 years, 74% of customers reported a positive experience, 73% had their issue dealt with during their first contact, and 77% of calls will answer within 45 seconds. I just need to highlight those outstanding results and congratulate everyone involved in the customer services team. They do a critical job and obviously they're doing it very well.
There's David smiling over there. And Leanne, magnificent. Right, we're moved by Councillor Ward. Do I have a seconder, please? Councillor Vendetti Taylor. Do I have any dissent? Those in favour? So carried. Thank you. Righto. We're going to move into community assets and infrastructure reports. And the first one is 14.1, which is the draft road management plan 25 to 29. Councillors, please. Councillor Berry?
Happy to move it.
Happy to move it. Do I have a seconder, please? Thank you, Councillor Freeman. Do I have any dissent? Those in favour? So carried. I think Phil just smiled. Okay, we'll go to 14.2, draft sustainable environment strategy. 14.2, councillors' questions. Anyone? Do I have anyone brave enough to move that? Thank you, councillor Bingham. Do I have a seconder, please? Thank you, councillor Taylor. Do I have any dissent? Those in favour? Just carried. Right. Right, we'll move on to 14.3, Mirrabul Open Space Strategy 25 to 30 for adoption. Councillor, any questions? Thank you, councillor Sullivan. Do I have a seconder, please? Thank you, councillor Bingham. Do I have any questions? Any dissent? Those in favour? So carried. Right, now we're going to move on to 14.4, which we have two speakers. So if I could ask, do you want to both sit up there at the same time, or it might be easier, Jessie and Judith? Who wants to go first? I'll go first. Good idea. Which one are you?
Jess, I'm Jess. So I'm representing, well, I'm the wildlife carer,
Yes.
rescuer, and I'm also representing the residents of Yankee Flat Road.
Oh, yeah, of course, yes.
So we saw the report that was written by the council officers, and we're pretty confused by it actually, because a lot of the data that's been provided in support of their recommendations has little relevance to the issues that we raised. The first one being a speed reduction from 80 to 60 k's is not warranted along Yankee Flat Road between Range and Mount Buninyong Road, because this was not supported by available data. So we gave really good data. I gave 4 years of wildlife data. We supplied radar data, and every single resident on that road signed that petition and agreed that it was a problem road for all of them. So that's pretty good evidence, and that's from the community that lives there and from the rescuers that you know, pick up those broken bodies off the road all the time. The other thing was that they mentioned the speed. So the speed, they did their own radar data at 8 different sites, and only 2 of those sites were in the area that we were concerned about. And at both those, both the average speed at those sites was 86.8 and 87.8, well over the speed limit, which is consistent with the data that we provided, that they speed through that area, which is why so many wildlife are killed and why residents feel so unsafe. So we're very confused about the recommendations based on the available data. That also states council does not proceed with an application for a fixed speed camera because it's already part of a mobile speed radar program as of June 2025, and supplied data in an application will not meet the warrants for a fixed device to be installed. Well, yes, that's true. It is on Yankee Flat Road, but it's at the other end. It's in Warrenheip. It's nowhere near the site that we're concerned about, which is where the speed camera needs to be. So the council has supplied no data on wildlife other than an engineer, a council engineer went out there for 1 hour and assessed the site, did a habitat and a koala assessment, which I'm not sure he's qualified to do. I, on the other hand, am not just a carer, I'm actually qualified to do habitat assessments and land assessments. And he said that there was no koalas migrating in that hour that he was there. So no one is likely to see a koala migrating, especially, it's not even breeding season, and you're not going to just find them in the trees. Like, they have a huge range, and that is a corridor, and that's what we have always said, that is a corridor for koalas. So breeding season, they are crossing that road constantly, and that is the problem. So I'm not sure how that assessment, I mean, it's not useful data, that you can go there for an hour and say, I didn't see any koalas. And, you know, and also they stated that there was very little habitat offside the road on the properties, and that's just not true. There's habitat everywhere, and there's a corridor right down to Union Jack Reserve, and that's their corridor, and that's what we have stated. So, yeah, the council recommendations and the data behind it just don't stand up. So we're really confused about these recommendations. And we've done our work, you know, we did our work. We got every single person on that street we got together, we discussed the issues, we saw there were issues, and we came up with strategies ourselves, like we put signs up at different times. You know, what does it take? you know? The community is not being heard here.
Oh, well, I think you are. You're here. And I'm listening.
Michaela, I mean, yes, I mean, all
fact, we're listening.
all councillors supported this, and that was amazing. So this report comes as a real surprise. Michaela Settle contacted the officers and asked them to support the community and listen to them, but they don't feel heard, based on this report.
Right. All right. Councillors, any questions? No? All right, we'll move on to the next speaker.
Judith Bailey from Clarendon. I'm also referring to part of the executive summary. I'd like to also question the data because there's a lot of unrecorded data. And I draw your attention to a snap, send and solve which I sent to Vic Roads. Well, I sent it and it could have gone to either the Moorabool Council, the Ballarat City Council or Vic Roads.
Do you want to bring the microphone just a little bit closer?
A little bit closer,
Yeah.
On the 13th of July, I was driving north on the highway and on the right-hand side, on the Moorabool side, there was a very large male kangaroo dead, just leaning up against the cable in the road. This is an
Judith, I
example
don't
of,
think your
this is an
microphone's
example of
working.
an incident which hasn't
No,
been
we'll get you a
recorded.
new microphone. We'll organise it. Only, it's not for my benefit, it's for the live feed. So try that. We'll do two. Off.
How's that?
Yeah, and just try that and see if we.
In the car, I had a passenger who had recently had a hip operation.
Yes.
On our return journey, the male kangaroo, which was very large, was still in the road. As approaching it, instead of doing 100k an hour, I was doing 90 because there was a vehicle, possibly two, but I knew there was one immediately behind me. They were unhappy at my speed and overtook when I had to swerve around this really large male kangaroo dead on the road. This vehicle overtook me at 100k an hour on the left where there was no laneway. It was very dangerous and my safety and my passenger's safety were at risk. This is a possible incident that hasn't been recorded and this is due to wildlife being killed on the road. And since the 14th of December, during the dry spell in summer, there were up to that point, that male kangaroo was the 17th kangaroo/wallaby, which was dead on that very small section of road from Clarendon to Mount Buninyong. Now, that's not the only time that I've had incidents where people have been speeding and almost there's been a crash. We've had a vehicle in front of me. There was two travelling south towards Clarendon. A vehicle tore out of the Lullaloll Clarendon Road at 100k an hour, saw the oncoming traffic and whizzed straight across the road into Hopgood's Lane and pulled up. They were that shocked. And you would be aware that there have been many incidents in that section of road from Clarendon to Buninyong over a number of years. And what I'm saying is, I drive regularly on Yankee Flat Road, I drive regularly on the back roads to Bland and Bacchus Marsh, and there are always incidents, and these are not recorded. And I have to say that it's not just kangaroos, you're talking about echidna and wallabies and kangaroos, and so koala is one of the slowest moving wildlife that you see on the road, and this is a really important thing, not to gloss over the statistics which are hidden. And for every road trauma that is recorded, I would say that there are at least 4 or 5 that are unrecorded on these back roads in the Moorabool Shire.
Are you finished, Judith? Or?
Yes, that's, if any, I'm happy to take any questions. I've lived in the area for
I'll do that.
44 years.
Yeah, I'll do that bit. Right. Any questions? Do you want to go back, please, Councillor Bingham? I think it actually was working. It's your dulcet tones were very soft, that's all. So there you go. Right. Question, Councillor Berry, please.
Mayor. Judith, I'm just interested to know about Yankee Flat Road. Have you witnessed any fatalities or hit koalas?
No, but certainly kangaroos, echidnas and koalas. Yes, I've seen them.
So you've seen koalas?
Yes.
No fatalities, sir?
I don't do 100k an hour on that road. I know what it's like. I don't do 100k on the highway. I speed to the conditions and I know what the conditions are. I travel regularly at night because I work at night. And I'm very familiar with the environment. So I'm saying that there are wildlife corridors. That wildlife corridor on Mount Buninyong, I hope something's done about it. Truck drivers don't drive 100k an hour. I know personally of a person who said there's a school there, there's a Scottsburn Primary School, and you don't drive 100k an hour near a primary school, and yet Vic Roads allows that speed to be there. A friend of my son's was killed on that section of road there, just opposite the school, a number of years ago. I was travelling home late at night and I found him. There are fatalities, there are a lot of accidents on that road, and a lot of them, it wouldn't be the truck that's running into the kangaroo because very few trucks would do 100k an hour on that very steep ascent and descent. And it'd be a small vehicle. My car is a small vehicle and I think I'd come off the worst for wear.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Bingham.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. My question is just the original two officers, but now it's to the planning. Just in relation to the first speaker, one of the issues she raised in regards to the mobile speed program, speed camera program, so I don't know if you heard her say, but she's saying that the problem is not on that section of the road in the program, and she wants to expand the program to include all of Yankee Flat Road. That's what you were saying, correct?
The problem area is the bush area. That's the problem area. That's where the residents feel unsafe and that's where the wildlife are getting hit.
Yeah.
So your question, Councillor Bingham, is to Mr Jeffrey?
Mr Jeffrey.
Is that correct?
That is correct, Mr Mayor.
Through you, Mr Mayor, I would assume that that site has been selected because there's room for a vehicle to park off the carriageway and detect, the speeding, whereas in the southern section where the speed limit's lower, it's more heavily treed and the geometry of the road isn't as good, so it may not be as suitable for a speed camera site, but that, notwithstanding that, that doesn't mean we can't request that that be the case as well. But that's why I assume it's in the other section of the road.
Well, thank you, Mr Mayor. So just subsequent to that then, so can we effectively just take that on notice and make a submission to that program?
I'm not sure if you can take something on notice and make a submission in the same breath, but maybe you'd like to clarify something with us here, Councillor Bingham. Oh,
Got a response to that, Mr Mayor?
you may as well. Mr Jeffrey.
I guess our recommendation is to not request a permanent speed camera on the road because there's a mobile site. I guess there's nothing stopping council orders requesting us to request to VicPol an additional mobile speed camera site.
Thank you. Councillor Ward, please.
It's not so much a question, but with your indulgence, Mr Mayor, I just want to speak to Jessie and Judith and just say that I'm a fairly regular user of Yankee Flat Road and I certainly understand the concerns, and I've been more aware of the concerns since you raised them. And in particular, I probably wasn't familiar with the term wildlife corridor until recently. The last few years, I've worked over at Bannockburn, and 2 or 3 days a week I have to travel via Staunton Vale, and the residents there have put up a sign, kangaroo crossing. And I swear between 7 and 8 in the morning and 5 and 6 at night, it's like there's an agreement they're all just going to charge across the road at that one spot. So I've certainly become aware of it, and I've paid a lot more attention on Yankee Flat Road since you flagged the issue. And I think, in my point of view, I understand your concerns, and to me, it's more than data that we have to consider in this matter.
Yeah, thank you.
Councillor Ward, next time I'll try and sneak a question in there somewhere. Right. Councillor Taylor.
Or an amendment if we get to that point.
Are there any other questions, councillors? So what you're asking for, councillor Taylor, is to make an amendment to
the
the
recommendation.
recommendation. Yes. Please, we hear that.
Alternative, yeah.
So it becomes an alternate motion?
Yeah.
Basically, yes, yes.
Is that okay?
The floor is yours, sir.
No worries. I propose a motion, request officers to write to the Department of Transport and Planning requesting amendments to the speed limits on Yankee Flat Road as follows. A speed reduction from 80 to 60 k's along Yankee Flat Road between Ramage Road and Mount Buninyong Road. A speed reduction from 100 to 80 k's along Yankee Flat Road between Navigators Road to Ramage Road. Point 2, council does not proceed with the application for a fixed speed camera as Yankee Flat Road isn't on the mobile speed radar program as of June 2025, and supply data in an application will not meet warrants of a fixed device to be installed. Point 3, request Victoria Police conduct more regular patrols and enforcements for speeding issues along Yankee Flat Road. 4, approves installation of advanced warning and repeater signs of koalas. Point 5, requests that officers notify councillors and the conveyor of the petition of the outcome of the referral of speed limit changes to the Department of Transport and Planning once they have been received.
Councillor, just for clarification, Councillor Taylor, so basically, because there's two questions there, one is to the Department of Transport and the other is to the police to do further patrols. Are you asking for one letter or two?
Pretty much we can, even if we're allowed to, we'll put Jared's point in as number 6.
I don't know what Jared's point is, and as much as my crystal ball is working, yeah. Yep, no worries.
Yep.
All right, firstly, council, so we've moved a motion now, councillor Bingham. Do you want to turn your microphone on, please?
Happy to second the motion, Mr Mayor.
Do we have any,
The amendment.
sorry, councillor.
Sorry, the alternative. I'll second the alternative that councillor Venditti Taylor has put up.
So you're seconding the alternate motion. Is there any dissent or questions?
Let's
Councillor Sullivan,
have a
please.
question. Given that Vic Roads will in fact, or the Department of Transport will use the same methodology that our officers have used in this assessment, are we sort of giving false hope to the people, the conveners, by sort of doing this, that's all? Because I suspect that our officers, in a professional manner, have used basically the same template and model that Department of Transport would have used. So I'm just asking the question,
Yes.
are we actually just giving false hope?
And I'm looking desperately to give this question to somebody
Do
else.
you want me? Can I vote?
No, thank you. It's an interesting point. So I'll go to Mr Jeffrey. Then we'll,
Mr Mayor, so...
we'll go back to the alternate motion we moved in second.
Yeah.
And see if it gets dissent, so.
When we refer things to Department of Transport and Planning for speed limit reduction, some of the criteria that they'll use is community engagement, and I think in this case there's definitely a petition that's been put forward, so they'll see that as support. They usually want a letter from Vic Police also supporting it. And they'll do a similar assessment to what we've done, and they'll weigh up the state government policy around setting of speed limits, which talks to safety and community outcome and transport efficiency and all those sorts of things. So, I don't know whether it'll be false hope, but I guess we'll do a professional referral based on the council resolution if it gets passed, and then I guess it's up to DTP whether they support that or not.
Thank you, Mr Jeffrey. Is that?
But I just don't want people to sort of believe that it's something's going to happen that may not ever happen. Thank you.
So we moved in second. Are there any other questions? Yes, councillor Berwick.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. I just wasn't clear on the 6th point. You're having it in or you're not? And what was it exactly?
I don't think it wasn't, as part of this alternate motion, the 6th point isn't included.
Isn't.
If it needs to be included, we'll have to create another alternative at this stage. At this point, amendment, sorry. We have a mover and a second to this. Are you wishing to make an amendment?
No, thank you.
Righto, so we moved and seconded. Any other questions? Councillor Wood.
Yeah, if I may, it's not so much a question. I suppose it's, again, Mr Mayor.
Try and turn it into one.
I'll try and turn it in. I just want to say, for the benefit of the speakers, that when the officers make a recommendation, they are bound to make the information, a recommendation based on the data available, and which they've done so. But as council laws, we have discretion to look at what happens outside the data. And I know I'm a big quoter of data myself. I'm always quoting data across the floor. But in this case, we'd like to think that the community engagement argument will carry some weight. And my question is, Mr Jeffrey, if you could emphasise that, please, in your report to the DTP. How's that?
Love your work. You certainly can't direct officers. So, yeah, I think we'll leave it where it sits before we get in any more trouble. It was a question for officers to consider at this point. Councillor Kerr, please.
As a comment, Mr Mayor, from...
If you haven't got a question there, Councillor Kerr, you've got to get a really grumpy chair. Frame it into a question.
I believe that a second opinion may be worthwhile and could be opposite to what we've got as the opinion presently.
And the question is it possible to have a second opinion? I hope that's your question.
It is.
Thank you. Mr Jeffrey, just nod. Thank you. All right. All right. Any other questions regarding what we have in front of us, which is an alternate motion, moved and seconded? Do we have any dissent? No. Sure. Those in favour? So carried. There we go. Now, I think that needs to be explained, but what we'll do is we'll get that explained later. I'll get Councillor Vendetti Taylor to explain his motion, Jess. No, thank you. Thank you, Judith. Righto. I'll just get my heart rate down again. Righto, we're going to move on to 14.5. Oh, Small Township Enhancement Plan. And I'm looking in the right direction. Mooneyong and Mount Edgin approval to conduct an implemented master plan. Councillor Sullivan, please.
I'll move the motion, Mr Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Sullivan. Seconded by
Happy to second.
Murray. Do we have any questions? Do we have any dissent? Those in favour? So carried. Righto. Other reports now. So we'll move into tonight's entertainment, which will be notice of motion 16.1. Notice of motion number 335, illegal dumping of rubbish. And nice to see Bernard here tonight too. I'll just acknowledge that for the great work you do. And so please, could I have someone put their motion forward? I assume it's Councillor Taylor.
Yeah. So obviously my motion is to consider the potential of developing and implementing a community education and awareness campaign designed to address the issues and illegal dumping of rubbish, soil, chemicals and litter within the Moorabool Shire, inform residents of the impacts of these activities within the Shire, and include a Dobby and a Dumper campaign. Point 2, write to the relevant states and federal members of parliament, highlight these issues of cost shifting to local councils and to advocate for legislation change with respect of stronger penalties, as well as seeking grants or subsidies to assist with cleaning up of land owned by state and federal authorities within the Moorabool Shire. And obviously, the illegal dumping is a serious issue for our community, which must be addressed through a concerted, mutual agency approach, a multi-agency approach. It is suggested Council examine the feasibility of a multifaceted strategy to address the issues.
I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll work with the motion, and
Yeah.
then maybe we could end up, if it ends up in debate.
I've got plenty for
You've
that.
given a fairly reasonable
Yeah.
preambles.
No worries.
So just in case, we don't want to go to debate before we need to. So Councillor Taylor's moving and a notice of motion. Do I have a seconder for that? Councillor Wood, question. Councillor Minari.
Just a question for officers. I'm trying something, my memory is sort of bouncing around here. Have we already got something in place in terms of illegal dumping? Like, I'm just trying to think back to the work in the last couple of years in terms of illegal dumping. What's the work that we're doing at the moment? Thank you.
Thank you. And I'll go to, is that Mr. Jeffrey, is that you? Or do you want to go somewhere else? Do you want to go somewhere else, or I'm happy to?
Mr Mayor, so, look, there's a lot of moving parts to the legal dumping, excuse me. But currently, where there's a bit of a comms campaign that we are doing internally through social media and other elements. We have a process around prosecution, surveillance and collection of illegal dumping. So that's already a process that we undertake. And yeah, I guess hopefully that answers the question.
Thanks, Phil. Thank you. Thanks.
I was nearly going to go to Leanne. She's doing such a wonderful job on that EPA gig. I just thought I'd get that in. I'd give you a plug while I was going ahead. So, yes, Councillor Berry.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. I do have a question for Mr Jeffries also. You might not be able to answer it because it's a little bit of a difficult one. What is the percentage of illegal dumping that's coming from outside the Shire? Have we got any idea of that?
Mr Jeffries.
I'd have to take that on notice, Mr Mayor. I wouldn't have that data.
Understandable. Councillor Berry? Is that
Well, thank you.
okay? Any other questions, councillors? Right, so we're moved. Are we moved? Yes. That's correct. Seconded by Councillor Ward. Do we have any dissent? You have dissent?
Yes, thanks, Mr Mayor.
All right, so I'll start debate. Councillor Taylor, please. Now you can enter into your debate, please.
I'd just like to put forward the first point. This motion I actually wanted to run a month ago. Obviously, we held it back to the current meeting, and obviously a lot of things that I have mentioned here have been implemented, but I'd like to at least say that I have played some part in that happening. And obviously within the community, illegal dumping is a serious issue for our community which must be addressed through a concerted multi-agent approach. It suggests that Council examine the feasibility of a multifaceted strategy to address the issue. And then obviously the state and federal governments have significant responsibility to our Shire to review and increase penalties to use deterrence and support local government through additional funding for clean-up campaigns. Currently we have issues with littering from vehicles. We have issues with car parts and tyres being dumped onto our parks and whether it be Werribee Gorge, Lerderderg. We've got chemicals, hazardous waste, garden waste, construction and demolition waste, soil, foam, soil being dropped everywhere. We've got household waste. As I say, people moving soil with no permits, cutting down trees. As I say, we've got so many issues within this, and I'd like to say that since I've been on council, and I'll be more than happy for anyone else to go and speak to the officers, has been the major point that I've been trying to make. And by saying that I've played no part in this and this has been happening without my knowledge is not true.
I've no idea what that means, but Councillor Berry, please.
Whilst I do agree we have got an illegal dumping situation occurring in our community, I am concerned we don't have enough information to indicate that the greater percentage comes from the community of our Shire. I think in the past it has been indicated where one large charge.
Oh, sorry.
Thank you, sorry. Do you need me to start?
Yeah, start again. Sorry.
Okay, no worries.
My fault.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. Whilst I do agree there is an illegal dumping serious concern in our Shire, I am concerned we don't have enough information to indicate that the greater percentage comes from our Shire. I think some of the larger charges that have gone to court have proven that have come from outside the Shire. So I'm a bit concerned that we might be spending money on community education and awareness campaign to service people in our Shire that understand the concern. I'd like to hope that we'd have an indication of a better idea of where the percentage lies, if it's greater in our community, and I don't think we actually have that tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, councillor Berry. Councillor Ward, please.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Yeah, look,
Before we go, does anyone want to foreshadow another motion, just in case?
I'm happy to foreshadow. We take out.
No, don't tell us what
No.
it is. Just
Okay.
Just making
Sorry.
sure that
No
if we
problem.
are, that it's foreshadowed. Sorry, councillor Wood.
That's okay, Mr Mayor. Yeah, I fully support Councillor Vendetti Taylor's notice of motion. I've seen over the last decade an increase in illegal dumping in our shire, and probably over the last 2 years it's worse than ever. Yesterday, driving to work, I used, free plug here for Mirabel Shire's Anteno app. I pulled over and took photos and lodged two notices of illegal dumping on my way to the office. So I encourage all residents of Mirabel to download that and report.
Props, councillor Ward, props.
But I know that was, I don't want to take away the seriousness of this matter. It is epidemic in our council. I noticed Melton is, the City of Melton now is running an education campaign, and also the Dob in a dumper. But now, we don't know how much of this comes from outside or within the community or from outside our shire. But what we can encourage our council our residents to do is to dob in those they see dumping. I had a phone call last week, which I reported to council officers, of trucks coming in at under cover of night and dumping in our shire. So that is now being investigated. So the more we can encourage residents to dob in those that possibly are coming in from outside our shire, and educate them in, the old Keep Australia Beautiful campaign. Well, we want them to keep Mirabel beautiful. Our natural habitats are very attractive, and if we can do anything at all to reduce the amount of illegal dumping, I think it's worthwhile. So congratulate Councillor Vendetti Taylor on the notice of motion. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other councillor? Councillor Freeman, you wish to speak for or against?
For. Thank you, Mr Mayor. Look, I must also go for this motion. We do need a community education program. We do need dob in a dumper, and I agree with that. There's a lot of, I understand that possibly some of it may come in from outside, but we've got a lot of building going on as well, and there's a whole lot of rubbish that's accumulating. Also, we do need stronger penalties. I remember, well, actually, when we've just had our illegal dump, I did a bit of searching on Mr Google, and over in the UK, they actually have the power to take the vehicle of the person that actually dumps the rubbish. So maybe it is time that government started looking at better penalties, but I do think it's a motion that I'll fully support. Thank you.
I think you think of a couple of trailers now they could pick up if they want.
Yeah.
So, any other councillors wish to speak for or against? Councillor Kerr, hit the button, please. So, there we go.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I fully agree with Councillor Vendetti's motion and fully support it. Also, I cannot see how you could possibly ever come to a fixed amount of rubbish that's not in our, that has come from outside our shire. Unless when you go through it, you've got a name, rank and serial number, most of the material you look at, you wouldn't know where it come from. So you can't really make any sort of decent reasons that it's either in or outside our shire. So I consider that the Councillor Vendetti's motion needs to be fully implemented.
Thank you, Councillor Kerr. Councillor Bingham, here for or against?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. For. More than happy to support Councillor Vendetti Taylor's notice of motion. Prevention is the best sort of cure, right? It was better than a cure. In regards to education, still the Anteno app is not, most residents are not fully aware of this app. And a great example, a resident who was following a truck, just like Councillor Ward just mentioned, but mine's a different illegal dumping issue, but they didn't know who else to call at 11 o'clock at night. So they called me, And I drove down and sure enough, and that's why I've sent you all images. But also, our and what I've been saying for a while in my first term, our residents are not really aware of the fact that if they're placing incorrect materials into the yellow bin, the recycling bin, all of a sudden that recycling bin is now treated as just general rubbish, and all that recycling ends up in landfill. So if people were more educated on what to put in their bins, I know there's an educational program at the moment, but it's not widely.
Can I wheel you back to the actual motion?
Anyways, I commend Councillor Vin Diddy Taylor and what he's trying to do, so I'm happy to support this notice of motion.
Anyone else wish to speak for or against? Councillors, we have an alternate motion in front of us. Those in favour, please. Oh, sorry, my apologies. Councillor Taylor, please close it.
All right, I'll throw away the script because it doesn't really work too well for me, but
No, run with the script.
I apologise for that too, Mr Mayor.
Get Councillor Kerr to turn his microphone off.
He might want to add something at the end. Just quickly, we've got a major issue at the moment. Basically, once you drive into Bacchus Marsh and you head down the hill, it's basically there's rubbish everywhere, even though we put a notice of motion up about cleaning it. If anyone drives, and especially our tourism areas that we really rely off, currently on Ironbark Road, there's a dumping site there where the main volume of that rubbish was basically has been there for 6 months, and that has been added to probably over the last couple of weeks. 2016, Friends of the Werribee Gorge cleaned up that site, and we've got that constant issue right through. We're waiting 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 to 6 months for things to be cleaned up, and it's just not happening. So anything that we can do to, and especially in our tourist areas, you look at Werribee Gorge, you're talking about 150,000 visitors a year. You look at your train stations, you look at everything like it, and we're just living in a sea of rubbish. And as I say, with my neighbour coming in today, Bernard, I praise him for all the hard work that he does within it. But as I say to everyone here, we have a massive problem. We have a massive problem with the trailers, with everything that's happening at the moment. And at the end of the day, if we don't fight and we don't do something about this, it's going to snowball and it's going to get even worse.
Thank you, Councillor Taylor. All right, we'll go to a vote. Those in favour? The motion's carried anyway. We're doing little hands tonight, we're not doing this. Okay, that's the one. Thank you, Councillor Bingham. Okay, we'll move on to our 32nd, our notice of motion number 336, temporary infrastructure to activate Bacchus Marsh Racecourse and Recreation Reserve. Is this yours, Councillor Wood?
It is, Mr Mayor.
Thank you. I haven't got a copy of that.
Yeah, I won't speak for long, Mr Mayor. It's well documented. Council officers have done an incredible job of attracting funding to build some great facilities out at Bacchus Marsh Racecourse Reserve, and Oval 2 and 3 are now operational and in use. And again, Council has done a great job in attracting funding for a new pavilion, which is going to be an exciting addition to our sporting recreation, but also community use out at the Racecourse Reserve. However, that pavilion is unlikely to be online and available until about 2027. I note in our draft Rec and Leisure strategy that priority number 3 is identifying ways to increase participation and activation of community spaces, and this notice of motion is just basically an investigation, requesting an investigation in what the cost would be involved to put out portable change facilities that we could be used to activate Ovals 2 and 3, in particular Oval 3, until such time as the permanent pavilion is built. So at this stage, Mr Mayor, it's simply asking us to prepare a report to look at the costs for temporary infrastructure out there.
Thank you, Councillor Wood. Councillor Minogue, you had a question?
Yes, I do. I'm having deja vu. How long, have we discussed this before? Have we had this report before?
I did, sorry.
Yeah, Councillor Wood, I'll allow Councillor Wood to answer this.
Yes, that's
because,
fine.
Yes, because I think it was the original motion.
Murray, I did try previously to introduce it during urgent business. However, I did so outside of the correct procedures. So I'm now presenting it now as a notice of motion. So it hasn't been presented as yet.
That's fine, thank you.
Any other questions?
I have a question.
Councillor Sullivan, please.
I know the intent of this is to try to encourage more use. What is the current use out there now? Perhaps it's directed to officers.
Lee, is this one for you?
This with, as talked about, not
Yes, not the
whole
not the
thing.
whole shire.
I don't, I want to focus it in, Mr Mayor. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Through the chair, so the current use in terms of sporting use up at Racecourse Reserve, so we have the existing soccer use, which is utilising the existing pavilion at Racecourse Reserve. We also have, and we'll have some cricket use as well, and we do have currently have some training, football AFL training happening.
Councillor Sullivan?
Oh, yeah, so following question. So is there, the training is one aspect of it. Is there sort of regular sporting held out there on a, an organised basis?
Lee, please.
Through the chair, at the moment, currently, the Racecourse Reserve is not a home ground for a football cricket team. So Bacchus Marsh is located at Mattingley, and that's where the bulk of the games are occurring. We did undertake an EOI some time ago to get some understanding of interest in using the space. And once the facility is fully ready to go, then we will go back and have conversation with those groups who have put in EOI.
Thank you, Councillor Sullivan. Councillor Berry, you had a question or are you seconding it?
Yeah. No, I was
both,
happy
if you like.
happy to second
We can
it.
walk and chew
Happy
gum.
to second it. Yeah, I had mine on for seconding.
Yes. Councillor Chair had a question as well? No? I didn't have anything. You're just lighting up the room. That's all right. Councillor Freeman.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Through the chair to Lee, if there were portable change rooms there, would there be a possibility of the oval being used?
Lee, please.
Chair, so it really is a conversation with those people who have put in an EOI to see what their intended use of the facility would be. It has been some time since the EOI was originally undertaken, so we would want to revisit the interest. But certainly there are, through that process, there has been some interest in using the facilities when they're up and ready to go.
Can I just ask one more? Thank you. So if it was up and ready, because you can't use a sporting oval if you haven't got change rooms. That's my thing, because it's just not feasible, I don't think.
No questions.
So what I'd like, the question is...
Can I use... Yes, you just put can I.
Can we find out then if, like I think you've just said, if people are interested coming onto the oval, if there were change facilities there?
Lee.
So through the chair, if Councillor Freeman is requesting that we go back to those who have put in an EOI to gain their position if there were change facilities up at Racecourse Reserve, then that is a question that can be asked.
Well done. Councillor Freeman.
Question
Councillor Sullivan, please.
Well, given that Councillor Ward's notice of motion is asking for a report, which I fully support, which is the normal on these things, the question I have is, going forward, and with the proposed Mattingley Park upgrade master plan and the new facility there, is there likely to be conflict between doing something here and Mattingley Park? So that's the first question. And can you play, my second question, can you play competitive sport in an area that's unfenced?
Oh, okay. Lee, please. You can take on notice if you like. I know, yes.
Yeah, I think I'm, if you don't mind, Councillor Sullivan, I may take those questions on notice.
Mr Mayor, it was only sort of it was just a left of field questions, but I think it's just something
Yeah, it's a
that we
good
need
question.
to respond to. Thank
Yes.
you. And Take on notice is fine, thank you.
Thank you, appreciate that. Thanks, councillor Sullivan. Any other questions, councillors? So we're moved by councillor Ward, seconded by councillor Berry. Is there any dissent? Those in favour? So carried. Okay. Now we're going to move on to, of course, notice of motion, 16.3. Notice of motion number 337, working with children checks for councillors. And this one's councillor Freeman, please.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. The motion is that council commits to all councillors obtaining a current Working with Children check as a proactive measure to strengthen public trust and demonstrate leadership in child safety following recent reports of child abuse in childcare settings. 2, writes to the Chief Executive Officers of all Victorian councils, encouraging their councils to adopt the same standard and require all sitting councillors to obtain a Working with Children check. 3, Council writes to relevant state members of Parliament and the Minister for Local Government, urging that legislative reforms be considered to make it mandatory for all candidates nominating for council elections in Victoria to hold a valid Working with Children check as a condition of eligibility, and the letters be sent to all those nominated. Did you want the rationale?
Not at this stage, councillor Freeman. Do I have any questions on that, councillors? Anyone want to second that motion? Thank you, councillor Ward. Do I have any dissent?
Yes.
Sullivan? Yes. Councillor Freeman, the floor is yours.
Thank you. The rationale is in light of recent disturbing revelations of child abuse in Victorian childcare.
Sorry.
Microphone.
Sorry,
Thank you.
the green light's not flashing.
Green lights.
We're not racing.
In light of recent disturbing revelations of child abuse in Victorian childcare centres, it is imperative that all elected representatives, particularly those responsible for governance in community settings, take every available step to ensure public safety and confidence. While councillors may not typically work directly with children, we are often in positions of public trust, present at community events, schools and youth programs. A Working with Children check is a simple, cost-effective measure to reinforce our commitment to child safety and model best practice. Whether or not there's direct contact, we are in leadership roles and must model best practice. This motion is, like I've said, about public trust. I welcome different views, but I'd ask we keep the focus on the substance, safeguarding children and reinforcing public confidence in local government.
Thank you, councillor Freeman. Councillor Sullivan, please.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. It's with some reluctance that I oppose this motion. I understand the intent. And I think no one could condone what has recently happened at the Point Cook Child Minding Childcare Facility. My heart goes out to the families of the children who attend this facility and the anguish and heartache they must be going through. I also note that the alleged perpetrator of these heinous crimes had a valid Working with Children check. The Working with Children check did not protect the children at the Point Cook facility. I repeat, the alleged perpetrator had a valid Working with Children permit. The system failed these children and the families. It did not protect them, nor did the Working with Children check protect them. I believe this motion in some sense is virtue signalling. The fact that motion calls for the CEO to write to all Victorian councils and the state members of Parliament lends weight to this view. The opening of point 1 of the notice of motion states, commit all councillors to obtain a Working with Children check. The word commit infers obligation on all councillors. I don't believe the notice of motion can compel or force a councillor to do anything, and I suggest the notice of motion fails under section 3.7.16 of the Local Government Act. It is not a valid notice of motion. I would suggest it is not enforceable. It is not enforceable in my view. It is an attempt to press gang councils into doing something which I believe should be a private matter, up to the individual councillor, and whether they believe that their activities within the Shire warrants a working with children check. The decision as to whether a councillor has a working with children check, I believe, is one that each councillor should make themselves. It should be a private matter based on their belief and whether they should have one based on their activities and how they intersect with the community. For all we know, councillors already have the documentation. I've never asked a fellow councillor, as I believe it is a private and personal matter, which they have one. I find the idea of trying to force a council to commit to obtain a current working with children check is somewhat intimidating. I believe that it seeks to embarrass councillors. In recent times, we've had councillors in this chamber and elsewhere to speak on the homelessness in Marlborough Shire, primarily raised by one of my fellow councillors. The question I would put to council, how would you feel if I or some other councillor were to move, if felt passionate about this, moved a motion that all Marlborough Shire councillors commit to, say, giving up a percentage, 5,000, whatever you want to figure, of their annual council allowance to fund the homelessness in the Shire? How would councillors feel about that? I would not do it because I have too much respect for my fellow councillors and would not wish to embarrass them. I also believe such a motion would not be enforceable. Councillors, I restate my opening comments. No one, and I repeat, no one could condone what has recently occurred at the Point Cook Child Minding Care Facility. I believe this motion as it stands is virtual signalling, and I would ask council to consider the matter carefully. To not support the notice of motion does not mean that we do not care about child safety. We do, but I don't see this as the ends to that means. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Sullivan. Now, I know that I've just spoken to the Governor and said I want to seek leave to speak to this matter, but I note that the Deputy Mayor is the seconder, so we would have to choose somebody else. But in terms of where we sit, this is how we're going to run it. The Deputy Mayor has a right to speak as a seconder, and then I would seek leave to move from the chair where someone will have to be nominated that hasn't spoken or doesn't wish to speak, and then I will take their position. So the floor is yours at this stage. Councillor Wood.
Yeah, thank you, Mr Mayor. I take it in absolutely good faith that Councillor Freeman's notice of motion here is absolutely presented for the right reasons. I would question, and I'm probably disputing the fact that I see it as virtue signalling, and I don't think it should embarrass councillors. I don't think it's in target of that at all. I take it that it's absolutely just a proactive measure, as she has stated in the notice of motion, to strengthen public trust and demonstrate leadership. It is purely, I'm supporting this notice of motion purely because I think it may encourage others to do so and help protect our children. Quite simple. It's that simple. Nothing more, nothing less.
Right. Anyone else wishing to speak for or against? I'll go to Councillor Manari, please. Just remember, we're going to need someone to take the chair at some point. So, Councillor Manari, please.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Although I hold a working with children's check and I fully support the reasons around it, my head goes in a different way. We are bound by the Local Government Act. So for me, when I was elected in November last year, at the start of that term, that was the rule book. They were the rules set out to me, and they were very clear to me. And the only reason I'm speaking up against this motion is because I feel that it needs to be implemented at the start of the term. It can't come in halfway through the term because it needs to come from the Local Government Act as a collective. Because if we do it any other way, it's wishy-washy. I feel that it has to come from the Local Government Act as a baseline. I do truly believe that everyone should have a working with children's check, as I repeated, often, as, in my mayoral role last year, I was asked to present my working with children's check when I presented at schools. And I truly believe that we all should have one. But at the same time, I don't think this is the space, 8 months in or whatever it is to a new term, to implement this and commit all councillors to now get one. So that is why. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Berry.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'm for, I support Councillor Freeman's motion. Getting a working with children check is important for ethical and practical reasons, especially if you are involved in roles where you interact with children. This is why it can work. Child safety, helping to protect children from harm, schools, sports, clubs, childcare services and other child-related organisations are often required by law to ensure all their staff and volunteers have to have up-to-date working with children certificates. It's part of their duty of care. Do councillors work with children? No, but children have been in our chamber in Balan. Councillors have visited schools as guest speakers. I would like to think that councillors see it as an important role to play in duty of care for our children. Having a working with children check demonstrates that you're trustworthy and committed to safeguarding children. Knowing that everyone working with children has been screened helps create a safer environment for kids and gives peace of mind to parents. It is about child safety. It's about building trust and peace of mind. It shows you take your responsibilities as a councillor seriously. I had to have a police check done when entering Parliament House in Canberra for ministers and shadow ministers' meetings. Why do we protect our ministers but not our children? I just see it as simply a risk to reduce risk and liability, protect our children in our shire and to make a stance tonight. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Berry. Any other councillors wishing to speak for or against? So at this point, I'll seek leave to remove myself from the chair. I will require, I think we only have 2 people available. Councillor Carr. Councillor Carr.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. A question to the governance. Councillor Sullivan's first point about this motion is not in accordance with the Local Government Act. Is that local law? Is that your opinion?
Through the chair, there's elements of the governance rules that say that a notice of motion can't be used to amend or extend council policy. Now, the policy that will apply in this case is the Councillor Code of Conduct. So currently the Councillor Code of Conduct does not require councillors to have a working with children's check. That Councillor Code of Conduct is probably the right avenue for this issue to be applied, and the Councillor Code of Conduct will be reviewed annually and by councillors themselves. So it provides a minimum standard, and councillors by resolution can elect to set a higher standard for themselves. So at the point at which that working with children check is reviewed by council, there's an avenue for that to take place.
Mr Mayor, just in response to that, if I may, following on from that response, I would contend that how can force councillors, how can a notice of motion force councillors to do something? Where is it that in the local law would that occur?
Governance, please.
Thank you, Councillor Sullivan, through the chair. This is why I'm suggesting that the appropriate avenue for this to be considered is through the Councillor Code of Conduct. So when, at the time the Councillor Conduct is reviewed, which will be later this year, that is an appropriate avenue for council to set a standard for themselves.
Yes, Mr Mayor, but the 3.716 to the Chief Executive must reject any notice of motion which is outside the powers of council. I would contend that the powers of council do not extend to compelling a councillor to do anything. Put this aside, put this issue aside, and it's caused, but I don't think, in my view, I don't think that the notice of motion could compel a councillor to do anything.
Once again, through the chair, I'm suggesting the appropriate vehicle is not the notice of motion. I'm suggesting that the councillor code of conduct considered by council can achieve that.
Mr Mayor, given that this is what's before us, it's a notice of motion, we're not debating the code of conduct, we are debating a notice of motion. I am contending that this notice of motion does not fulfil that criteria.
I'll go back to governance.
Chair, I'll have another go. I don't think the notice of motion in this case is the right avenue to achieve an outcome of a working with children check applied as a standard. In my view, it is the council code of conduct review is the right avenue for that.
Aye. This is the 6th of August 2025. We were at a council meeting and we were discussing this. Is what I've put forward valid?
I'll go back to governance again.
The chair, I'm actually agreeing that the point you've raised about using a notice of motion for this purpose is probably not the right vehicle to achieve it. Yes.
Thank you. Right, councillors, now I sought to seek leave, so I need the councillors to nominate somebody to take the chair. Councillor Ward.
I'll nominate Councillor Bingham, please.
I'll take his position. Oh, we'll need a vote, sorry. Those in favour? We're going to run out of people anyway. So. Right. Yeah, don't make a mess. I always get nervous.
All right, thank you, councillors. Is there anybody who wants to speak for and against? Thank you. Councillor Paul Tatchell.
Thank you, Councillor Bing. This is really complicated because we're dealing with something that I understand the sentiment to, but there's some serious issues in terms of one, governance, and two, the practicalities of these things. I didn't come here to debate tonight, so I'm just going to tell you what I know. I've been working in this space for a very, very long time, like to the early 70s. I've seen a lot of broken adults that are now grown men, and I know there's been a lot of women that were in exactly the same boat. I can tell you that my dormitory, 7 of the 42 committed suicide. So I'm well aware of the issues at stake. I've put a lot of work into this over a number of years. We've spoken in front of state commissions, royal commissions. I've spoken to prime ministers. I've spoken to Rome. I've spoken to the Anglicans. I've spoken to everybody about the situation. And the only consistent in all of this, in this disaster that befell us where children weren't being protected and why the working with children format came through, was that since then, nearly all that have been convicted have had a working with children certificate. Now, even the Premier came out last week and noted that they couldn't make changes overnight on this problem. I could tell you that the Archbishop of Sydney couldn't make that claim. That for many, many, many years, we've been fighting the good fight to protect young people in the hands of adults. And these are people that now are older men, older women, that are completely broken and will never recover. from the systematic abuse that's happened over well over half a century. But whilst I'll say again that the sentiment about the working with children is correct in terms of a process, not in terms of governance. The real reality is that if anyone who goes to do a working with children check, and I don't blame anyone in this room if they whether they commit to it or don't commit to it, but there's not even a section for people that work in government. There's a certain amount of sections that have been put through. I think there's 58 of them in total. Not one of them actually brackets the role of people that in their daily work come across children. The difference is in public life is when you are in a situation or a place where there are children, there is a lot of people. And it's clearly seen. It's usually run by the media. And there's not a person I know in a public position, this goes to school teachers, headmasters, they're not paranoid every time a child walks up to them because of what's happened. And especially in our district where there's been an incredibly dark cloud that's sat upon Ballarat for many, many years, that's only just starting to lift. I can't agree with just allowing people to tick a box to then be given enormous responsibility of working with children. I can't for a moment suggest that you can jump online on a computer, regardless of what your moral standings are, make all the right noises on the computer, put all the right names in, and it spits out a ticket at the end of the day to say, I have a working with children certificate. Well, I could tell you that I've spoken to the parents, the brothers, the sisters, the friends of people that have been destroyed by what's happened in the past and what's probably going to happen into the future. And I can tell you, there is not a ticket in the world that will prevent that. The only thing that will prevent it is people standing up and not allowing the behaviour that you see or walk past to be the behaviour that you accept. To actually go out there and actually, when you see something that doesn't look right, say something. I mean, we can't even get our confessional boxes to agree to, if somebody comes in there and confesses to a sin of paedophilia, to go and report to the police. We can't do that. And here we are in this role, where we're bringing up tonight something that is just a ticket. And I can tell you to the paedophilia of this country, it's that ticket that actually allowed people through the gates of hell. It's that ticket that let the devils into the playgrounds because they were given that permission. So I can tell you now, you can put all the tickets in the world on. You'll never stop people from hurting other people. You'll never stop people that have the moral degradation of an alley rat. You'll never stop people from being hurt and injured with a piece of paper. What we need to do is make sure that everybody, we have the responsibility as a village to make sure that everybody's safe and every child is safe. And every child that is still a child as an adult is safe, and to make sure that everybody is protected. So I'm not against what the councillor wants to do. I'm just saying, what does it actually achieve? And I can tell you now there is not a section. I implore the Premier to rewrite the books, to make sure that we make it harder for people to get these tickets, to make it more difficult so that people can't enter these areas where children can be hurt or affected. That's what we can do as a government. But providing a ticket and showing the people that we agree with something, that's not what we should be doing. We need to fight a lot harder and be a lot more solid and not just accept that signing a piece of paper gives us an avenue to our own ability to be transparent. That's all I've got to say. Thank you.
All right, thank you. So put to a vote, all in favour? Oh, sorry, Councillor Freeman. You
Thank
close
you.
the debate.
Very much. Thank you. I have listened to everyone, and I'd respectfully suggest that when it comes to child safety, raising the issue have been called grandstanding its governance. And I'd also like to point out that when I first became a councillor in November, I had a meeting with the CEO in December, and I raised this subject because I thought I had a police check, but I didn't have a working with children check. And I knew as a councillor, as I have in my other roles, will be coming in contact with children. And I believe the community have to have trust in us as councillors. I think the community would prefer we debate the merit of the motion rather than speculate about motives. This isn't about headlines, it's about leadership. As I stated at the beginning of this debate, I respect and welcome differing perspectives. However, my primary concern remains the safety and well-being of the children in Moorabool. I have held a Working with Children check since the introduction in Victoria. In my past role as a bail justice, I've had the responsibility of removing children from unsafe situations, including child abuse, and it isn't very nice at all. I've also had the opportunity to supervise children, having to supervise children with their parents because they have been abused. And also in my other roles, I have to uphold the duty of mandatory reporting. These experiences underscore my ongoing commitment to protecting vulnerable young people in our community, that is the Moorabool Shire. And I can't express it strongly enough that we have to safeguard the children and reinforce public confidence in local government. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All those in favour? What's that?
Is it too late to ask a question?
Go ahead, Councillor Kerr. You can ask a question.
A question to governance. In your opinion, is this motion considered locus standi? And if it is, it's invalid.
Through the chair, the governance rules clearly state that a notice of motion cannot be used to amend a council policy. As far as I'm concerned, the councillor code of conduct is a relevant council policy in this case, which sets the standard for council behaviour, and therefore this notice of motion can't supersede the content of the councillor code of conduct. So it's not valid.
Councillor Ward.
Mr Chair, that being the case, can I ask why Councillor Freeman wasn't advised that when the notice of motion was presented?
I'll refer that to the governance.
May I ask a question too? Like I said...
We haven't answered Councillor Ward's question first.
Yep,
go. Through the chair, I wasn't asked for feedback specifically on the validity of the notice of motion. There has been discussion around the councillor code of conduct, and there is still an avenue for consideration of this issue through that review. And I can assure you, as soon as the state government actually has set the new standard for the councillor code of conduct this coming year, then I will introduce that, first of all, to briefing for discussion and then for council resolution. But as I say, the councillor conduct sets the minimum standard and councillors can rise above that. So that is the vehicle.
Freeman.
Thank you very much. Like I said, when I first became a councillor, I spoke to the CEO regarding this in December, and he said it was on the table. As nothing had happened, I then had asked him again in a couple of months about it as well. My understanding was that all councillors were going to be asked to get a Working with Children's check prior to what has been happening out in the community at this moment. And if something had been resolved right in December when I asked about it, we wouldn't be sitting here having this debate here today. Thank you.
CEO, would you like to respond to that?
Point of order. Ultimately, it's the council's responsibility to check their motions with governments. That's, as it said, right? It's not up to governments to chase the notice of motion. And secondly, we've already debated the item and now we're asking a question of the CEO relevant to the debate. So I'd suggest that we either get to call it to a vote or someone foreshadows a motion to have a discussion in terms of how we change our local law or our code of conduct going into the future.
All right, we're just going to put this to the vote. All in favour? Those against?
Division. Thank you. Oh, sorry. Oh.
I haven't called it yet. Motion is lost.
Division.
Yep, so all those in favour? Yep, and then all those against? Oh, apologies. All those in favour. Sorry, Councillor Venditti-Taylor. So, yep. Councillor Venditti-Taylor, Councillor Berry, Councillor Freeman and Councillor Ward. All those against? Councillor Minari, Councillor Keogh, Councillor Sullivan, Councillor Bingham and Councillor Tatchell. Okay. Councillor Ward's bet me to it. We have a mover for the Mayor to resume the chair.
Seconder.
And a seconder?
All in favour? All in favour?
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Okay.
Okay, councillors. We're going to move on to item 16.4, notice of motion number 338, AusNet compensation agreements. Who owns this one?
I own this one.
Thank you, Councillor Taylor.
The council writes to motion, sorry mate, that council writes to AusNet and the Minister for Planning requesting statistics on what the proportion of the total numbers of private properties affected by the proposed Western Renewables Links easement in the Mural Shire and along the entire project route that have been physically assessed by AusNet to undertake its EES impact assessment work.
Councillors, we have a notice of motion in place. It's been moved by Councillor Taylor. Do we have a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Ward. Do we have any dissent? Thank you. Councillor Taylor, please commence the debate.
Obviously, with developments in Parliament last Thursday where it's gone through the lower house, basically passing that, it's one step away from people, from the transmission people being able to go onto people's property. When you look at this situation, it's escalating quickly. Information on what's actually happening with this project, as I say, has been held back from us. And at the end of the day, for us to make the best decision and to represent the community in the best way, all the information should be handed over to council, council staff and councillors.
Thank you. Councillor Minari.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. So for the last 5 years, there's been many questions that have been asked, and of course, lots haven't been answered, as we all know, and that is extremely frustrating, hugely frustrating for all of us and for all residents. For me, the reason that I don't think this notice, I think we're time wasting here, because if you ask any resident right now, what is the biggest job for us to do right now, and we don't have very long to do it, and that is our submissions for the EES. It's as simple as that. You know, we're down to the wire. It's been 5 years. We now have our chance to have our say. We have the most valuable staff in our special projects team that I am unbelievably proud of. Every day they live and breathe this project. And the last thing I want is to deter them away from their substantial EES submission, which I know is taking every day of their time to write, and it'll go right down to the wire for them, like it is with residents as well. They'll take every single minute to make sure that they write the best submission that they can. So to make an impact, that has to be done. That is the priority. We must stay focused. We can't be distracted by asking our staff to divert and ask a question that we've been asking for years and haven't, well, we've got a wishy-washy answer, we've got different answers. 1 minute's a 60%, the next minute it's something else, and the community will be the ones that can tell us the most about that answer. But I'm passionate about this, as you all know, and I truly believe that we must leave our staff alone to do the best submission that they can do. And it's as simple as that. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Ward, please.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Initially, when I saw this notice of motion, I must say I wasn't in favour of it. But I then picked up the phone and spoke to Councillor Vendetti Taylor, and I wanted to understand why he was asking the questions he was asking. And when he explained it to me, I decided to support it, and I commend him. Councillor Minari has been a great champion of our ratepayers on this, and I commend her on her passion too. I suppose, from my point of view, the point here is you've got to pick your fights. Asking this question does not mean that we're not going to continue fighting against the towers, and staff and councillors only have so much energy. So if our fight is going to be against the towers, it will remain against the towers. This won't stop the staff from reviewing the EES submission. It's simply a letter going to government. And if we're able to then get a response out of the government that says 80% of the residents have let them on the land, then we know that that part of the fight doesn't need to be had, because it's already been had and it's lost. People are letting them on the land. But if we know that 20% have let them on the land and 80% are still fighting, then we'll continue that part of the fight. So for me, we only have so much time, we only have so much resources, we only have so much energy. And if getting this information allows us to focus on other parts of the fight, all well and good, we'll go even harder there, because we're not going to be wasting our time arguing about the access. So I think this is just gathering information, and I think if you can gather as much information on any decision you make, it's helpful. So I'm happy to support it.
Councillor Ward. Anyone else speak for or against? There was a race then, it was like a stall gift. I think Councillor Freeman just got over the line by nose.
Thank you for that, Mr Mayor. Look, I support this motion, which simply requests that AusNet and the Minister for Planning provide statistics on how many private properties have been physically accessed for the Environment Effects Statement. Good governance requires transparency. Knowing how much of the impacted private land was actually accessed for EES data collection is crucial to assess whether the findings are representative. If decision makers are to rely on this EES to approve or modify a project of this scale, the public has a right to know the basis of that evidence, especially if it may be incomplete to access limitations. This is a matter of transparency and public confidence. The EES is currently on exhibition and will inform significant planning decisions. Yet we know many landowners have denied access to AusNet. If large sections of the route were assessed without on-the-ground inspection, the EES may contain gaps or assumptions that compromise its accuracy. Residents are being asked to respond to and digest a large, complex document of 10,000 pages within just 40 business days, a very short window for residents. To do so meaningfully, they must understand where data may be incomplete and how that affects the findings. This motion is not about opposing the project, it is about ensuring robust evidence, community trust and sound decision-making. This motion is not anti-renewables or anti-progress. It is pro-transparency, pro-accountability and pro-community. If the EES is to guide decisions with far-reaching consequences, we must ensure its data is sound, and that starts with knowing how much of it is based on real access, not assumptions. I urge my fellow councillors to support it.
Thank you, Councillor Freeman. Councillor Berry.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. I entirely concur with what Councillor Minari was saying, but I'd like to add that, recently we were able to have discussions with AusNet, and I was contacted by a resident whose information was entered into the EES without her permission. And I was then reached out to by AusNet to say, would that resident like to speak with us? So that resident did, and expressed her concern for a conversation that AusNet had on her property was placed in the EES, was challenged by her, and they are rectifying. So my concern is, I am aware of other people who have had the same concerns and they're reaching out to AusNet as we speak. So that the EES statement has only been out for so long. I think we're still in the phase of assessing it. People can write in submissions. I think there is a privacy issue in getting these figures, because if it comes over the 80% mark, for example, there's going to be a lot of communication out in the community and a lot of angst for those that are still concerned with those power lines that are running through, as we know, a percentage of properties that's probably doesn't indicate when you verse the whole of our community. So I'm totally against this motion. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillors. Councillor Keogh.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Through you, I support Councillor Bendetti Taylor's notice of motion. And further to Councillor Ward, I think he summed it up extremely well. Very, very, very well. The more information we've got, the more we can sharpen our focus for the people who haven't signed. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thanks. Councillor Sullivan, please.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I understand the intent, but I'm just concerned it's just a waste of time. Do you really think we're going to get a response out of AusNet or the government? I mean, AusNet have been asked directly to their face, and the response was no. So I just question what we're going to gain by doing it, that's all. I mean, you can sort of put your energies, I think Councillor Ward rightly said you pick your fights, and I think, well, is this a fight that's something we need to get involved in? I mean, I understand the sentiment, and it'd be good to know, but I mean, they're not going to give us an answer. They're not going to give us an answer, no way. Thank you.
Councillors, anyone else wish to speak? No? Councillor Taylor, close the debate, please.
Yes, just quickly, I'd like to thank Henry and Catherine for assisting me to write this notice of motion. Obviously, when I first wrote it, I had to rewrite it, and they assisted me to get this up. Obviously, we're fully aware that there's only 40 days to get all this information, to provide all the information within the route. I think the fact that asking a question that, is it going to be relevant, are they going to answer the question or whatever, you still have to ask the question. And in this business, and especially with what's happening, we have to be proactive in what we're doing. The thing is with it is we understand where it's going. We understand, we've all sat in the briefings, but at the end of the day, every notice of motion that I do put forward, I do put a bit of research into it. And personally myself, I'm asking a question, I'd like an answer. As my job as an elected councillor, that's my job. Basically, that's why I've got voted in, to ask questions and to try to get the answers to make the best judgments.
Thank you, Councillor Taylor. So, There's no other questions, we'll take it to a vote. Those in favour? Motion's carried. Righto, so we've got no notices of rescission. We've run out of notices of motion finally, and we'll go to the Mayor's report. There's a copy of it on everybody's desks. Thank you, Councillor Sullivan. Second. Thank you, Councillor Berry. Those in favour? Thank you. Could I just make a note that on Rural Councils Victoria, we did a forum, well, it was supposed to be a forum over last weekend, and it was mainly based on planning and child welfare and finances, which was the reason why Councillor Ward was up there. He was very interested in that. My concern is they brought a planner in from Sydney as the speaker, and Metropolitan Sydney, if you don't mind, to talk about rural planning as we go forward. Ultimately, when there was 4 other panel people, it went on for a very, very long time. There was only 4 questions asked in the whole room because that's all that was allowed. 2 of them were denied because they were about taxes on land and the costs of actually doing developments in rural areas based on the current taxes. And the other 2 were basically related to those that were put in a different way when the other questions were denied. My concern is that the Shire pays a lot of money for councillors to go to these things, and there was 100 councillors up there that should be entitled to express their view, ask a question, and bring that back to your council. That's the whole point of these things. Otherwise, they're nothing more than a talk fest, and I'm really disappointed that they took that approach. And there may be other people that aren't, but my view is that if you're going to bring, especially in terms of how the planning projects as we go forward and the commitment by the state government in terms of the growth that has to happen both in the peri-urban and the rural area, there should be an open forum into how we ask these questions, and we should be entitled to be given those answers. There were politicians in the room that didn't speak, and I found the whole thing, well, I found it that good I left. I thought, well, I've got better things to do in my time than sit here listening to someone from Sydney about the problems I've got in Moorabool. So, and the fact that they're not prepared to answer those simple basic questions and developments across our state, if they want them to happen, they need to stop taxing the crap out of it, because young people are never going to be able to buy a home while they continue to do this, and someone has to take responsibility for that, and at the moment it's the state government. So, having said that, I've had my whinge. Going straight to council reports. Councillor Sullivan, please.
It's okay.
Sorry, I was just making a comment.
No, that's fine. I was listening intently, Mr Mayor, listening intently. On Wednesday, the 9th of July, I attended the AGM of the Navigators Community Centre, the CAC. There was 3 council officers in attendance. Christian, Vivian and Travis were there. I was actually impressed that, and I don't very rarely give good feedback to anybody, but so if you get a compliment from me, it's a rarity. I was impressed that Travis waited back after the meeting, had a cup of tea, and had discussions with the committee in a one-on-one in an informal session, which I sort of, and a range of issues, they sort of right across that I was there, which I actually think builds relationships going forward. So it's important. There's the formal side of things and there's the informal side of things, and that I believe was an informal approach, and I would like to commend Travis on what he did. Fantastic. Okay, moving along. Thursday the 17th of July, along with the CEO, Mr Madden, I attended an online meeting of the MAV Regional Wimmera, Southern Mallee, Central Highlands meeting. This is a mouthful. At the meeting, I raised the issue of the illegal dumping matter that we've actually experienced in Moorabool, and advised the member council delegates and CEOs that this matter is not unique because there are several trailers that have gone missing, and I just reminded them that they may be coming their way, which I said with a little bit of passion when I said it, and I sensed that they believed I was the boy that cried wolf. But we shall see on that matter, Mr Mayor. The CEO raised the matter also of the battery storage at Elaine, and he was and sort of underwhelmed response of the MAV. These are my words, not the CEO, so I'm not verbalising him. And that the fact that they've enlisted their environmental group of the MAV to respond in that space was not the appropriate group, because I think their sympathies were lying elsewhere. I've since spoken to the CEO of the MAV and trying to arrange a private meeting in this matter with the CEO, yourself, Mr Mayor, and myself, just to, in that particular area, because we felt that they didn't understand the implications from Moorabool and the rating system and the impact it would have on our shire going forward. So that's it, Mr Mayor.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Sutherland. I think we all acknowledge there's essentially an issue with the chair of the MAV not wanting to discuss this. We'll see. Watch this space. Councillor Keogh.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. During the previous month, I attended the announcement from Western Water of a grant of $20,000 to the Platypus Alliance for the restoration and enhancement of the Werribee River. I attended the NAIDOC Week Welcome to Country and Flag Raising ceremony at the Bacchus Marsh Village Green. It was sad to note that the smoking ceremony was cancelled due to health reasons. Moving on, I attended the Elaine Recreation Reserve Master Plan presentation conducted by Moorabool's appointed consultant and found it to be a very comprehensive document. On the same night, I attended the Mount Wallace Triennial General Meeting, but because of the time spent at the previous meeting, I got there right at the last minute. I also attended the state government announcement for the funding for the Lullal Conservation Reserve Master Plan and a follow-up meeting to announce a funding grant for the Baland Cycling Hub feasibility study, and also a state government announcement for the funding for a 900-seat spectator area at the new indoor stadium. I also attended the grand opening of the Player Hotel Reception Centre. I must congratulate Mark and Ruth Mills for investing in such a project that will be a big boost to our tourist economy. A week prior to the opening, I volunteered to be part of a staff training at their new facility. There was 12 juniors and 6 18-year-olders, and to be involved with the local staff training to meet the anticipated extra tourism trade was a very encouraging and enjoyable experience. And once again, thanks to Mark and Ruth for being in a position to offer extra employment to our young residents with all the benefits that brings to our municipality. Also, during the past month, I chaired the Moorabool Environmental and Sustainable Advisory Committee, and I also attended the Blacksmiths Cottage and Forge Community Asset Committee as a designated council representative. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Yes, I'll just clarify that the health hazard wasn't the smoking ceremony. It was the person who was supposed to do the smoking ceremony was unhealthy on the day and couldn't do it. So just so we say. Yes.
But you did do a good job, Mr Mayor.
So, yes, of course, thank you.
I'm going to be as quick as I can because obviously I don't want to...
They are reports to council. We seem to be getting dialogue.
Yeah, look, I'll just quickly brush over them. Obviously, I went to NAIDOC Week. Obviously, the funding grant announcement at Lullal, the budget announcement with the seating at Mark Indoor Stadium. I went to the Not In Our Name Community Alliance meeting at Moonee Valley, did it online with multiple councillors here. We obviously went to the protest at Parliament. Congratulate the Bacchus Marsh Primary School with the 175th anniversary, and I'd like to say well done to the Bacchus Marsh Historical Society that were collecting data off the multiple people that come that day. Obviously attended the Friends of Werribee River through Bacchus Marsh Planning Day, went along to the Elaine Master Plan, the Plough Marquee opening, I went along to the Grey West Planning Day where over 4,000 trees were planted, Blackwood Historical Society, went to the MEG meeting, the Moorabool Land Care Group meeting last night, Blacksmiths Cottage, went to the Bacchus Marsh Platypus Society meeting. There's a Clean Up Australia Day Sunday at Underbank, starting at 10 o'clock. I'd like to also say well done to Jared for his speech at Moonee Valley, and I'd like to say well done to his speech on Parliament as well. I'd also like to say well done to Paul and all the extra work you've had to do recently especially involving the radio, media and everything else that goes to it. I'd like to say well done to the Derek and all the staff and the officers that are dealing with issues that we shouldn't be dealing with, and it's not acceptable and it's not fair, and it's causing a lot of stress on council and officers and workers. So I really want to highlight that, and I'd like to thank my wife and kids for letting me go on this ride, and I apologise for all the time it's taking up.
And you
Thank
left out
Mr.
your
Mayor.
sponsor Coca-Cola and... Anyhow, sorry.
Maybe next month.
Councillor Minari, please.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll just keep it short and just, I won't go through where I've attended, but I'll just mention thanks to the state government for the trickle of tiny town funding. Thanks.
Councillor Minari. Councillor Bingham.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I too will try and keep it short. On Wednesday, 6th of August, as Councillor Venditti Taylor just mentioned, alongside both himself and Councillor Minari, we attended a rally in the city on the steps of Parliament for a few reasons. One is the emergency service tax, but also this new law that now farmers will be facing harsh penalties if they don't allow AusNet onto their properties. So there were a lot of, clearly a lot of rural people attending this rally, but there was quite many from Moorabool. So all I have to say to those guys is, keep putting the pressure on. But I just want to say as well, just congratulations to Deeqa. So on Wednesday, the 30th of July, we had a briefing, as obviously we're all aware, where Deeqa presented us with...
This is the confidential briefing.
It's on your mayor's report.
Yeah.
So anyways, I just applaud Deeqa for
I
coming
was just
and talking.
reminding you there was a confidential, just in case you wanted to...
I wasn't going
In case you wanted to elaborate, Councillor.
No, I wasn't going to elaborate. I'm just here to say that I appreciate Deeqa coming in and informing council of the works that are currently being undertaken. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Bingham. Councillor Berry, please.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'd like to start with sending some condolences to Councillor Christine Walker's family. She's a councillor. She was a councillor in Macedon Ranges, and she passed away suddenly on last Friday. It affected me actually when I read it, because I met Councillor Christine Walker. She's a fairly new councillor. She came in on a vote in November 23, where they had a councillor finish. I met her on a couple of occasions in training, as did a couple of other councillors here too. I'd just like to ask, as a council, can we send a message through the Mayor to Macedon Ranges? A card or something?
Could that be done, please? Thank you. Yes?
Yeah, just rest in peace to Councillor Christine Walker. On the 4th of July, we had a very positive catch-up, Peri-urban Councils Victoria did in the Shire with Minister Sonia Kilkenny, the Minister for Planning. She's assured Peri-urban Councils Victoria that she is supporting our future fund submission. On Saturday the 5th of July with Councillor Freeman, I celebrated the Tian Festival in Bacchus Marsh Public Hall with the Unite Foundation. It's the second year I have attended that festival, and they certainly do dance and sing and have lots of fun. It's a joyful celebration of Punjabi culture for women and community spirit. Monday the 7th of July, I attended NAIDOC Week, Welcome to Country and Flag Raising Ceremony event at the Village Green, Bacchus Marsh, and yes, it is disappointing, and unfortunately the person who would have been conducting the smoking ceremony was sick, so there was, I'd heard the little whisper around the crowd with the children who were disappointed too. They were hoping for the first time to witness a smoking ceremony. On Thursday the 10th of July, I attended 2 funding grant announcements like all the other councillors at Lalal for the master plan and the Balan Cycling Hub feasibility study. Tidy Towns Round 2. Our Tidy Towns are getting a lot of love lately, which is fantastic, isn't it, Councillor Minari?
Well, just a small hug, Councillor Minari, would say.
Then later in the afternoon, the budget announcement for Mark Indoor Stadium, the very welcome funding for the retractable grandstand seating for 900 spectators. So we hope to see some very good basketball games with that new, once that grandstand's in place. Sunday, 20th of July, I attended the Grow West Planting Day at Monteville Lane, Balan, where 4,000 plants were planted. Well done to all attendees who travel from near and far. It's just amazing. I think there was about 200 volunteers there that I got there fairly early, and most of the work was done. I can't believe they arrive early and they bring, some of these communities bring all their food and set up and cook their traditional meals. There was a group from over Donnybrook Way who, I just can't recall the name of their group, but they're an Indian group who travel around helping out with the environment and planting plants in lots of communities. So well done to everyone. On the 22nd of July, I attended the Blacksmiths Cottage and Forge Community Asset Committee. It's a great little group there, and they do lots of good work, and they're very passionate about the cottage and forge. On Friday the 1st of August, I chaired the Peri-Urban Council's Victoria Board meeting. We're continuing to work on a definition of PUCV National Councils, building a policy for recognising funding needs for Australia's peri-urban councils. This aligns with our number one, funding the DCP Future Fund, and to the Capital Investment Fund submissions PUCV have been advocating for, and we will continue to. On Saturday the 2nd of August, I was invited to attend an organised cricket game between two businesses in Bacchus Marsh, the Graham Street Medical Centre versus Back in Motion, both medical centres. It was held at Oval 2 Bacchus Marsh Racecourse Rec Reserve, and it was commented that there was no toilet facilities there. It was good to see the Oval getting some use and families from our community enjoying using community facilities that have been provided by council. And then Tuesday evening, the 5th of August, attended Moorabool Landcare AGM at the Balan Chamber last night and listened to a guest speaker, Chris Smith, who delivered a talk on land loss and recovery in Parwin Valley in the 1840s. And if you could have seen those pictures from what the land was like, and it's in the Mount Elephant or something area, and the photo that showed this vastness of lack of grass and stuff, and all the work that they did back then, and to what you're looking at today with all the green trees. So thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Freeman, oh, very high tech, they got the notes on the phone.
Oh, yes. Well, I'd left my note at home. Thank you, Mr Mayor. Actually, I found it. I won't go through all of the things because the things I have attended have already been mentioned, but I will mention just one that today I witnessed some of the illegal containers parked in Lurdy-Dirk Park Drive being loaded onto a semi-trailer to be taken away to be legally dumped at the expense of Moorabool Shire residents.
Legally dumped.
Legally dumped, that's what I said, yes.
Yes.
Legally dumped.
I'm glad.
At our cost.
Yes.
Thank you.
We could have given the problem to store, maybe.
Yeah.
Yes. Councillor Ward.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I also won't go through my diary, but I suppose I did want to talk on the Rural Councils of Victoria Conference. It's like going to a game of football and sitting down there and both having different opinions on the umpire. I found the parts of the conference very beneficial. I just want to talk on one topic. The first topic Councillor Mayor Tatchell spoke about was the rural Victoria housing situation. I suppose by way of explanation, there is an intergovernmental shared inquiry taking place between the Regional Australia Institute and the federal and state governments, and it's looking at the housing crisis in regional Victoria. And Matt Alexander was one of the people on the panel, and they've got housing availability of 0.01%, and they need 1,000 additional properties today for public housing. And This project is being delivered by Regional Institute Australia on behalf of the state and federal governments, and it will be launched, the report called Answering the Call for Regional Housing will be launched on Friday the 22nd of August in Gippsland by the Minister Harriet Ching. One of the speakers was Trudy Ray, who's CEO of Haven Homes, HomeSafe, and they're the biggest provider of public housing in regional Victoria, and I found that very informative. No doubt I'm going to be badgering Lee about that when we can next catch up. Other parts of the conference I felt useful or beneficial were reflections on the 2025 advocacy of the ESVF and drought, featured heavily on that, but there's also a discussion about the 2026 state election. And the last presentation, which I found really informative but also concerning, was about the financial sustainability of local government, in particular rural and regional councils. Hepburn Shire presented and took us on their journey. And Darryl Whitford from the MAB spoke about a project that they've done on the 19 smallest rural councils, which is obviously we're not one of them, but only three he declared were in a financial stable, good health. And over the last decade, since rate cappings came in, or close to a decade, the cash position of many has become a concern, to the point, and he gave an example, where sealed roads have become unsealed roads. My last two things, very quickly. We're having the coffee with the councillor at Navigators on Sunday the 17th of August, so we encourage the community to come along to that and engage with your local councillors. And the last thing, Mr Mayor, I just flagged with you before we come up, was I saw that Melbourne Water is doing a flood mapping project. As a result of the parliamentary inquiry into the 2022 floods, Melbourne Water is doing a review of flood-prone areas, and they're doing, as part of their community consultation, I'm really disappointed to see at the moment it's a desktop review, and I hate that term, desktop review. It opened for community feedback on Monday the 4th of August, and it initially is going to cover 4 areas of Moorabool, and there's 4 maps available on their website, but I would encourage Moorabool Council to promote this widely and encourage Melbourne Water to come out and do some community engagement rather than doing this desktop review, because anyone can look at Google Maps and form an opinion, but they actually want to hear from people on the ground. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. I'll get someone to move the council reports, please. Thank you, Councillor Sullivan, Councillor Benari. Those in favour, so carried. How easy is that? Now let's work to urgent business. Councillor Sullivan, please.
No urgent business, Mr Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Kerr.
You've heard from me. You've heard from me enough tonight.
Yes, thank you, sir. Councillor Benari.
No urgent business, Mr Mayor.
Councillor Bingham.
No urgent business, Mr Mayor.
Councillor Berry.
No urgent business, thanks,
Councillor
Mr Mayor.
Freeman.
Yes, Mr Mayor, I have urgent business.
We have to have it approved. So firstly, can we give us a preamble quickly on...
It's about the Bacchus Marsh Hospital. They are proceeding to reduce staff at the hospital, even though they have reassured everyone and the community that they were not going to reduce staff. We have a meeting with them in October, but the staffing will be reduced as of the 1st of September, I believe.
Thank you. All right, then there's a second to hear the urgent business. Thank you, Councillor Ward. Those in favour? So carried. The floor is yours.
Oh, thank you. All right, so the motion is that Council writes to Western Health and the State Minister for Health requesting that an urgent meeting take place between the CEO of the Bacchus Marsh Hospital and the Mayor of the Moorabool Shire Council. 2, Council notes in this letter that the meeting between the two parties, currently scheduled to take place on Tuesday the 21st of October 2025, is to be brought forward to no later than the 29th of August 2025. That Council expresses concerns about any potential moves to reduce staffing at the Bacchus Marsh Hospital. Do you want the rest of the information now, or...?
No, if you could just give us the motion, so which is basically you've just done.
That is the motion,
That's
yeah.
the total motion. Righto, I have a second for that. Thank you, Councillor Bingham. Do I have any dissent? Yes, you did, Councillor Sullivan.
Maybe it's directed to Councillor. Is this, I suppose, this is in relation to reduction in staff. Is there does that correlate to a reduction in service?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, it does.
Councillor Ward, do you have a question?
Yeah, it is a question, Mr Mayor. I'd like to know how quickly we could put together a strategy to address this, because I've got media articles quoting the Minister for Health, Martin Foley, in 2021, when Djerriwarrh Health was absorbed into Western Health, that said the merger will deliver more services and better care, and local health infrastructure in Bacchus Marsh will continue to ensure effective and accessible services. Mr Mayor, they gave 4 commitments back then, and they were presented as a notice of motion in August 2024, and those commitments were the merger will not result in a loss of jobs, and further, the merger will not result in a reduction of health staffing levels or loss of frontline clinical jobs. And noting the rapid population growth, it was recognised the need for increased local health services. They're going against every commitment they've made, Mr Mayor, so I'd like to know how we can attack this, because basically they're breaking their promises.
And in terms of the question, that's what the motion is, so that's the response to that. So we'll go back to, we moved, who seconded this, by the way? Yes, Councillor Ward. So is there any dissent? Those in favour? So carried. Thank you. Thank you. Right. Councillor Ward, any urgent business? No. Thank you. Magnificent. Right, so that ends our council report, ends urgent business, and it actually closes the meeting. Thank you. Yes, sorry. We were here at 1 o'clock in the morning once. Yeah. Yeah, so,